J, 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 whistle. Screenshot up. It was 112 947. This graphic right here is shout out to Ledin. That's one of the people that I know that does the Bitcoin backed loans.
Yeah.
But it just this graphic just shows you what a Bitcoin backed loan is. You deposit your Bitcoin as collateral, you obtain the loan, you pay back the loan with interest, and then you get your Bitcoin back. So that's pretty much the revolving door of a Bitcoin backed loan, meaning that's a pro for me because I don't have to go through no, oh, what's my last payment history? Do I got any credit score? Do I got any
Right.
bad payment history or anything like that? So
Right.
and you asking about pros and cons of Bitcoin backed loan, uh basically you your own collateral. So that's a pro
Yeah.
for me. I know there's some cons out there that I got, but I'll let y'all talk about whatever pros y'all see about it or whatever cons you want to go about it.
The pros for me is the debt to income ratio. It allowed me to really maneuver a lot of money in other places. Luckily, I was blessed to get a home during COVID, so I would never try to use a Bitcoin backed loan because most of them are higher than 2%. But
Yes.
to say, other things like credit cards or other things, definitely clear it out. The cons is knowing and trusting the exchange. When we have certain Bitcoin backed loans, there are central exchange that are using them. And if we know like Mount Gox to Celsius to any other company, if it's not your if you don't have your keys, it's not your crypto. But
Mm-hmm.
we talk about Bitcoin here. There's other applications that probably have smart contracts that put that
Hmm.
in place, but it's new right now, and I think it is still good. It's pros and cons to everything. It has helped me, but within that percentage range, you just want to watch it.
Yeah. I think, for me, the pros of it are that there are more companies now coming out that are offering Bitcoin, back loans. I think with the chart you just had up, I think it's Ledin. Is that how you say
Yeah,
it? I don't know.
letting, yeah.
I think one of their pros is they stopped, what is it called? Hypothecation. I forget. I can't say the word.
Hypothecation or
Hy-
rehypothecation?
yeah, where
Rehypothecation?
like they take your Bitcoin and then they like
Nope.
mix it with other and they sell it, with other cryptocurrencies, right? Now they just went Bitcoin only. And I think that's a major pro. Like they said, okay, we're not going to do, ETH and Solana and all these other coins. We're just going to stick with Bitcoin. We're just going to stick with, if you give us Bitcoin, we're just going to do Bitcoin. I think that the fact that, interest rates are a little high. And when we talk about cons, I'll say that. But at the same time, like you don't have to, some of these loans don't require a credit score. They don't care about what your history is. They don't care about, if you had that bad car loan when you were in your 20s. You know what I mean? So that's a lot of the advantages of Bitcoin back loans, that the traditional ways that a lot of people, and it's not just one group, it's most of America, where basically the red tape associated with the traditional markets, where you couldn't get certain credit cards, you couldn't get certain loans just because of a mistake you made or an error you did, whether it's current or in your past. And it's just like Bitcoin doesn't care about that.
Yeah. And I think these Bitcoin backed loan companies, they just don't believe in Bitcoin, and that's foolish upon their part. The people that's actually loaning you the money is the fools because they could just go buy Bitcoin and get 65% CAGR. Instead, they want to give you a loan versus your Bitcoin and make 8, 9, 10%. If they
Yeah.
really knew what to do with their dollars, they would just buy the Bitcoin themselves. And
Hmm.
right now, Bitcoin backed loan is pretty good because you can play a game. Now, this is a gambler that in heart that I am. So say I give them one Bitcoin, I get $50,000 back. I go buy some more Bitcoin and
Yeah.
wait for it to double. Now I just take that money and pay off that and get all my Bitcoin back. And I just arbitrage their money, which they've only made 12%, and I made almost like free another free Bitcoin, almost another half of a Bitcoin. You see what I'm saying? But I
Hmm.
don't think I think the con for them is they missing the big picture, what Bitcoin is. They're just trying to make fiat money instead of like really thinking about what they're doing wrong.
Yeah, I think also too one of the cons with the Bitcoin backed loans for people are not understanding the terms, right? So it's like you can't make the same mistakes that you did traditionally and then do it untraditionally as well, right? So if you weren't reading your credit card terms and you didn't realize that you had a 25% interest rate, then that's shame on you. So then it's just like with these Bitcoin backed loans, you can get margin called, right? You would have to add more Bitcoin. It's just like a lot of different things can happen. And I think that's where a lot of people get wrecked is they don't read the terms because it's not like the company's hiding it. It's just like, you're just so anxious to use this Bitcoin and for whatever reasons, and everybody has their own personal story and personal reasons, but it's just like you gotta read the terms no matter what it is.
Yeah, and yeah, that is a con. But in all actuality, though, say you just sold your Bitcoin at a lower cost, and if you get margin called, and you had to pay back the loan, that means you don't have the money anyway. So, um,
Yeah.
you can buy the Bitcoin back at that point in time, or if did have the money, you just buy the Bitcoin back at the lower price, or you didn't
Hmm.
have the money, so you got yourself in a dire financial situation anyway.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
that's like that's what I'm saying. That's a little gambler's mentality that you might have because you say, okay, Bitcoin can't go down 50% from 120, so I'm gonna borrow $60,000 and go do that. Well, essentially, you got to consider that I'm selling my $120,000 Bitcoin for 60K. That got to be in your head. You got to
Yeah.
automatically say that. But then when it goes up, you have to make the financial decision to cash it out then. You see what I'm saying? Rather than
Right.
like it's hard when it's going up. Be like, oh well, I'll get the money and pay it back, yada yada yada. But most of the time that doesn't happen. So you're gonna have to sell a piece of that Bitcoin to pay that loan back regardless. So you gotta
Mhm.
when it does go up, you gotta sell it. You gotta sell it. Because if you're borrowing $60,000, you most likely don't have $60,000. And you're not
Yeah.
gonna make
True.
it fast. So you gotta be honest with yourself what you're doing it for.
Yeah. And you're not, like you said, you're not going to make, like, if it goes up to 10K, you're already borrowing 60. So are you in the position to buy 10K more Bitcoin so that they don't, sell your Bitcoin to cover that difference? And it's just like some people maybe, but I don't think people are, majority, like they're not thinking that way, that and then also too people get these loans and hype when they're hype, when the market is hype, and it's just like that's too risky because look at where we are now, August 2nd, right? You would have bought that on July 1st, and then now it dropped down 10K, and they're like, excuse me, your loan to value is too high, you need to cover this
Yeah.
because
And
a lot of these
And that's
companies.
why I do unsecured credit loans, because no matter what, it's just printed money. That's the point
Yeah.
of Bitcoin. Like, guys, we literally just hit the point of why we get Bitcoin. We know that these Bitcoin backed loans is going to be volatile and you could lose your money. So what is the next way to solve that? You get
Yeah.
printed money. Because what they're going to do, print more money. What happens if they default on that money? Banks do it all the time. Print more money. But you can't do what, guys? And ladies, you can't print more Bitcoin.
yeah, and that's I think the play for Bitcoin is just wait till it get to 1 million, and then you can only borrow 10%. You have a
Yeah.
lower threshold because most of the time, like say you got one or two Bitcoin, $20,000. If you held a Bitcoin for this loan, $20,000 is not going to change your life. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So even if you got a half a Bitcoin or a quarter of a Bitcoin, like the amount of money won't change your life, and you've been holding it for so long, you might as well just keep holding that train and just keep stacking. And like you said, you can get a credit card or something like that, and most people can manage to pay their credit cards. If you can get a $10,000 loan, you probably get a $10,000 credit card. And if you need to buy Bitcoin, you buy the Bitcoin with that, or and then pay that payment back because they're gonna give you like 25 years to pay a dollar on credit card back. And 65%
Yeah.
is better than 65% kegger is better than paying 16%. Yeah, I mean you're making more than 16% on a year to year basis. You know what I'm saying? So you can clear that, make that payment. But that's a
And
little risky. What'd you
no, my
say?
no, it's also better because you don't lose your Bitcoin because like I think the only company I know of where you actually own your Bitcoin, even if you do an uncollateralized, I mean, if you do a collateralized loan, is Unchained Capital. I'm I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm pretty sure that like
See,
they
see,
you still have a multi-sig option where it's like you still have access to this Bitcoin. Obviously, if you're loaning Bitcoin, they have to do something to protect themselves. But it's not like where with like Ledin and some of these other companies where it's just like you don't have any control. Like they can just say, "Oh, we're taking it all." So
Yeah.
it's just being really careful and understanding the terms. And a lot of people don't use traditional ways to do untraditional things, right? And just like Shana said, use that use that uncollateralized loan to buy some. And like Jake, you've talked about how using a HELOC to buy Bitcoin. It's like these are untraditional ways of thinking of doing alternative things in order to purchase Bitcoin, right? And it's just like you're going to be up no matter what. And the long term thought process is like, okay, there's going to get to a point where the price is just going to be what it is. Right. And it's just like, if you can just hold out for that long, just hold out. Or if you need to do this loan, just understand both sides.
And Tima, this what I like
Great,
about
great,
this what I like
great.
about you. You go and you try these products out, and this is the value that the Jump Out Girls bring. I see you trying these products out. You go to the conferences and you see. That's why you're like naming off the top all these different apps and things because you actually try them out and be like, that's the value of having somebody on the internet that actually do like try to process out and see what works and what doesn't work for them, and they can explain to
Yeah.
you why it might work for you. So
Yeah.
I like how you just name drop what you probably don't know that you do it because you it's just so natural for you, but you name drop these things that kind of open my eyes up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like I've already gone to the Orange Pill app already for that, just for a
I'm
community.
definitely going to the Orange Pill app. I need the sats. I need the sats
he
immediately.
he be after them sats, boy.
I beg for sats now. We beg for sats.
let's
I will
let's talk
beg.
let's talk about this one guy who's he collect all the sats. Shout out to Strategy, and this is the
Good
earnings
Lord.
of Strategy on the second quarter. Now they they uh they blew out their earnings by
Mm.
But
JP Morgan
this
Chase
man,
has partnered up with Coinbase, and I know this is your top